We're so glad to have everybody here, and we're gonna have a great demo here in a little bit. We know Alisa, and we're excited for her demo, so. Be sure to sign in, because that counts toward your toward your attendance, toward show credit.
For next year.
For next year, for being in the show next year. So you wanna be sure and sign in every time. Plus, we have door prizes, and then you can be on the list for possibly getting one of those, because we've had some great ones. I want to mention that we do have door prizes often from Forstall Art, and last month we had from Alabama Art Supply, and they're great door prizes. There's some pretty substantial gift cards and certificates. I think we may have something like that this time. I'm not sure what all we have, but you definitely want to be on the list to get one of those. And we also want you to support our art stores, our local art stores, because they do so much for us. And so Forstall Art Supply and Custom Framing and Alabama Art Supply. So next month's meeting will be here. We normally have our night meeting next month, and it will be here rather than the library. The library is under construction, and so we cannot meet there this year. So it will be here, and it will be from 6:30 to 8:30, and it will be on March 19th. Okay, and I hope that everyone was able to get to apply for the show who was wanting to, and I think Christy might address that in a little bit,
Yes.
but I hope that worked out for everyone with no issues. I'd mentioned a little housekeeping, to please not chatter between your neighbors, just because it is very distracting, and I'll list a whole list of why. But we want to be courteous to Alisa, who's here to do our demo, and when you start the chatter, back and forth, it kind of gives them the idea that maybe you're not interested in their demo anymore, and it's very distracting. So please, if you have something to say to Alisa or have a question for her, that's fine. Or if she asks y'all something, that's fine, but not the chatter between each other. If you need to, step out in the hall and just close the door. Okay, I think maybe I've said enough about that, I hope anyway. The membership, we've got some new members, and I would like to call out your name and ask you to say a little bit about yourself. And I have a list I'm going to call from. Okay, good. So we've got several new members. So Linda Warner, is that you?
Yeah.
Can you say a little bit about yourself and your artworks?
It should be on.
Hi, I'm Linda Warner. I moved here about 8 months ago from Arizona and just got started back into oil painting again. So I was excited to find you guys and try to get involved.
We're glad to have you
Yes.
today. Appreciate you coming and joining. Thank you, Linda. I have, hi, Fazia, is that right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, that's right.
Fazia? Lady? I'm not sure I'm saying your name.
Fauziya, I am originally from Saudi Arabia. I moved to Mountain Brook 14 years ago. I married a Brook guy, and I am a physician retired, but I have a passion for art since I was a child. And I am a beginner artist, and I was so thrilled when I saw the artist at Andrew's Garden. It was coincident. I never knew about your association until I met the lady at the front, and she invited me, and Janet encouraged me to come. I knew they are great artists. I'm not their level yet, but I will be there if I continue coming here. I'm really glad I am here.
We're so glad to have you, Fauzi. Thank you for coming. Okay, and then Yoshibi Kabagawa, are you here? I don't see her. Okay, Stephanie McClellan, not here. And then Linda Lowry Askins. All right, and then Victoria Pereira. Is that it? Okay, well, we'll get them next time, maybe. Welcome, new members. We're glad to have you. Okay. I just wanted to mention that Our club, Mountain Brook Art Association, our Art in the Village, is in a competition right now for Best of Mountain Brook and Mountain Brook Living Magazine. And we need you to go vote for us every day between now and the deadline. So if you can go on mountainbrookliving.com, I believe, does that sound right? Mountain Brook Magazine, I don't know, I will send it out to you.
We've put links.
I think we have links.
On our social media.
Yes, so look there and then click on that and you go to Arts and Culture and you go to that Arts, Culture and Places. There is a main category for that. Click on that and it will take you to the best of, like best local festival is ours. So click on that and you'll see Art in the Village. Vote on it. You will need to put an email address in, but no big deal. They've never sent me anything that I know of. So, so please go vote for us because that helps promote our club to be in that. And we've won it before, so let's try to win it again. So go every day and vote. You can vote once a day.
And we have two
We
members.
also, pardon me?
2 members.
Yeah, we also have 2 artists who are in this competition, nominated for Best Local Artist. And one of them is Glendenning Paul, that's right, I'm sorry. Glendenning Paul and also Marsha Hodges. So go and vote for one of them. You'll have to choose which one. And so we're excited to have 2 members in it. That's an honor. Okay. I also wanted to thank, she's not here, I don't believe, but Gina Cian has agreed to.
She's in Utah.
Oh, she's in Utah, that's right.
Yeah.
So she's agreed to be our person to go to for sending out new member announcements on our social media sites. And she's, if you haven't seen her, go look. She has done a fabulous job with that, and we're excited to have her doing that for us. And if you haven't been welcomed yet, hang in there because she's got a long list of people to go through. There's a lot joining at the beginning of the year, so she will be posting it eventually, so.
And she's waiting on some people to get her their information too. So.
Yes, so
if you're a new
it's a lot,
member,
because if you see her post, you'll realize it takes a little while for her to gather all the information, but it's so worth it, it's so neat to have, and it helps us to get to know the new members.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we have Robert Hernandez, who has volunteered to do write-ups for our spring show, and as well as take photographs. He's not here today either, I don't think, but he has offered to do that, and we appreciate that as well. So I'm going to let Christy give our website and tech report next.
Just want to say the show applications seem to go almost without a hitch this year. So thanks to all who stuck in there with it. We had a couple that had issues, but other than that, it was just a breeze. So
Is it closed?
it is not closed. I believe the closure date is March 12th. I will say that it's pretty full. And there are, for you new members who don't know, and the show chairs will probably cover this, but you are required to attend 2 meetings before you can apply. So if you're a new member, that's going to be harder. There will be a wait list. So, you know, if you want to go ahead and put your application in, if you don't make it in, is this how we do it? We'll refund if they don't make it in up to a certain point. I don't remember exactly how that works, but anyway. So if you want to apply, go ahead and apply, and then you'll get your money back if you don't get in the show, basically. Okay. Any questions or anybody have any issues with the website? I would love it for all of you to have your profiles on the website filled in. So if you have a question about that, you can email the club about it. You can email the main club email address, or you can email me at christy@bunmedia.com, and I will be happy to help you. However I can do that. If you just have no idea how to do it and want to send me your pictures and bio, I'll be happy to put that in for you. But we would love to have those profile pages populated. A lot of them are, so you should go to the website and look at the fellow artists that are in our association. It's pretty cool. So I wanted to share one thing about social media, because this is a question I keep getting from people. Why are my posts not being shared on social media? And the answer to that question is, it's because we don't see it. You know how Facebook is. If you have Facebook friends, you might see their posts in your feed, and you might not see their posts in your feed. Or Instagram's the same way. If if you're on Instagram and all of a sudden it refreshes and your post went down to the bottom, you're not going to see those posts. So the way that you can help us with that is share your post with us. You need to private message on Instagram. You can send that post in a private message, or if it's Facebook, you can do the same thing. You can private message it, or you can tag us, either on Instagram or Facebook. Those are the two social media platforms that we really are working for the association. So if you're on either of those and you're like, why do my posts never get shared? Well, that's why. We don't see them. And so we need to know that you posted in order to be able to share it. So, any questions about that? Okay. I think that's everything. I haven't done this yet, but I will try to put the link to the voting for the Mountain Brook Magazine thing on the link tree. I know in Instagram, all of our links are on the link tree in our bio. There's also a link to that, I think, on Facebook as well. So I'll try to put that link at the top there, so that's easy to click on and go vote.
And we do have a public Facebook page and a members only
and I
page.
did mention
And
that.
so it's on both of them. So if you just go look at one of those, you'll see it, and as well as Instagram, I believe it's just posted as well. So, and if you want to join the private Facebook page, just click on however you ask to join. I think that's what it is, and then we'll get with you.
Yes, ask to join, and we do approve people to be in that group, because you have to be a paid member.
Right. Okay, thank you, Christy. Okay, now I have the Art in the Village, our show chairs, Melinda and Janice.
Okay. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about this morning is, I guess, the applications. Like she said, y'all, they went great. We are pretty much full. I mean, almost full, I'd say. But we want to encourage y'all, even if you haven't applied, to go on and apply, because people will withdraw or things happen. So go on and apply, and even if you're not in it, you know how to do it for next year. But go on and apply if you have not yet. Also, if you have not shown before and you're a new member, the guidelines do say, we didn't make this up, we're just following the rules, we're rule followers. But if you have not shown before, if you're a new member, you are supposed to submit 3 samples of your work. There's only one person that did it, and he's gonna win a prize. But anyway, so that is something you're supposed to do for us. You can send them to us, I guess, and then we'll look at them and approve you and all that good stuff. Let's see about applications. What else? Yeah, okay. Next, we're going to talk about the volunteers, and I'm going to pass around one for each side. We need volunteers. You've heard it before. It is a great way, if you're not in the show, if you're new to our club, to meet people. I did it last year because I didn't show, and it's so good. It's so good to see how this machine works. There's so many parts to it. You'll meet people, you'll meet the artists. So we would love for everybody to try to volunteer. Even if you're showing, you can still volunteer. There's things that you can do beforehand that would be great for us. So don't be afraid to sign up. I'm going to pass one around for each side. Yes, This is my secretary. So if you are in the show, or if you're volunteering and not in the show, one of the benefits that you get is you can participate in the floral arrangement contest. Janice is going to talk about that in a minute. But if you are volunteering or in the show, you can do that. And you can also, we have an exhibit of paintings. Everybody can submit 2 paintings if you're a member or if you're in the show. Well, no, not if you're in the show. You would have your own. But if you're not in the show, you can submit 2 paintings if you're volunteering. To be part of the show, and they can be for sale. They're going to be judged by our judge. So we encourage y'all to do that. We want to have that space filled up with pretty things. Let's see. What else am I supposed to talk about? Anyway, things are going well.
Y'all doing a great job. Y'all have no idea what all goes on
No,
behind
you
the
don't.
scenes.
You have no idea.
You really don't.
The flowers are here. Ashley Johnson was a professional, well, she still is a professional photographer, and she loves flowers, and she has started this small bouquet business where she does small bouquets. We wanted something that you can move these arrangements, and I have a spotlight, and you can use, even if you don't want those 3 claws, you can move it somewhere else or whatever, but you can paint 3 of them, 2 of them, 1 of them, however you want to do it. I was thinking more of it's the week before Mother's Day. So these little small bouquets may sell real well for you.
But you can only submit 1 to the floral
One
competition.
painting, but your one painting can include all 3 of them, 2 of them. You can move them any way you want to
Is
and
that
adjust
in
the light.
addition to the other 2 paintings you can
Mhm.
submit?
So
Yes.
we, yeah, you can submit the competition, the floral competition, and 2 other paintings if you're volunteering. Mhm. Okay, her cards are,
You don't have to paint it just like it looks. You can just paint 1 flower if you want
You
to.
can do any kind of
yeah,
interpretation
combination.
of that
You
arrangement
use
that
your
you want.
creativity to do what you want to with those. Okay, her cards are up there on that little ledge, and a member of Mountain Brook Art Association, Emily Johnson, designed her logo. So I just thought that was kind of neat.
She's got a question.
Are y'all gonna have those posted later?
We are. That's a great point.
You're
Thank
posting
you. Photos.
photos,
Yeah,
okay.
we're gonna post some photos on the website, right, Christy?
Yes, I
Yes.
took a bunch today and I'll be posting those.
Yes. Thank you for
Yes.
saying that.
Mhm. There will be a page, the drop down under spring show on the website, I'll have a page with just photos of the floral arrangement.
One reason why we keep encouraging you to fill in that bio and your photos on the website is because we've added a new QR code to our banners and to our signs that will link people immediately to the website. So they can see the artist, but they can also learn about Mountain Brook Art Association. So it would be really good if it was full and everybody was represented there. Also, Gina is, doing the new member, post, highlights. She also has agreed to do for us, we're gonna have, like a template that she has designed, and it will have the artist's photo in it, and it says, "I'm accepted." And then down under it'll have to the Spring Art in the Village show. They'll give all the information. And what we'd like for you to do is you post this on your Instagram, your Facebook, send it to your email clients. You use that to help us promote the show, but it also promotes you. So if y'all can, it'll come in an email. That's what it'll do, and then you can link it and use it however you want to. And she has a real cute, they have the artist picture and then all the information, and it'll just say, "I'm accepted" on it. I think that's it.
I'm sorry I made these to bring to pass around. I mean, I spray mounted and put them on phone cords. And I left them at home.
I was gonna say something real quick. I just wanna say something about the volunteering. The very first year I joined Mountain Brook many years ago, I was so intimidated. I had never done a show, and I volunteered that year, and I walked around. I got here early. I took pictures of people's booths that I liked, their setup. I took notes about what looked like it was a great idea to do for me. And then I met people, and I felt so much more comfortable the next year to do a whole tent. So it's a great opportunity. They're right. Not only is it to help the club out, but it's a great opportunity for you
Yeah,
to
to
get
learn.
plugged in and to learn.
Yeah.
So you don't feel so intimidated.
And also, if you're new and this is the first time you've shown, we can pair you with someone that has shown a lot so that you'll kind of have a one-on-one mentor that you can ask questions to, or, you know, give you suggestions. But you just have to email us to let us know that you're interested in that.
Martha had a great reminder. If you've not shown before, we do want it to be a white tent. If you're outside, you're required to have a white tent to show in. So that's important. And like she was saying, y'all, that's just how you meet people. And I mean, I've only been here for a couple of years, and I was the same way. I was very intimidated, thought I'm not good enough. But here I am, co-chair of a show. Who would have thought? So join, and maybe you can be co-chair.
Thank y'all so much, y'all, for being, so, we just so appreciate all you've done. And we wanna support you, y'all support them, and be sure to sign the volunteer list when it goes around. It is a lot of fun to volunteer as well. It's good to be in the show, but it's also good to volunteer. We definitely need a lot of volunteers as well. Okay, so I'm gonna turn over to Denise for our treasury report. She just arrived.
She teaches a class.
I teach water aerobics, that's why my hair's long, and it ends at 10, so I still smell like chlorine, so I'll sit over to the side. For the month of January, we had about $3,800 that came in for dues, and that along with the dues paid in December for $6,700. So that's a healthy club. We use some of that dues money to pay for to subsidize this show. And if you've shown other places, you know that we have a fairly low fee for your space. And we also have other things like keeping our website running and our business license, our Chamber of Commerce, and we spent some money on that in the month of January. And we also bought some screens so that people that don't have screens, we can provide them. So our total expenses were of $1,200 for a net income in the month of January, $2,600. So January is where we make money, and then we spend it the rest of the year.
Okay, the link to vote for us has now been added to the link tree. This is what a link tree looks like. And the link tree of Mountain Brook Art Association has a ton of links, but a lot of those are our YouTube videos that you can go and watch past demos and even watch the business part of the meeting if you're curious about any of that stuff. So anyway, if you'll go to Instagram, the link to our link tree is in our Instagram bio, and it's on Facebook too.
Okay, thank you, Christy. And thank you, Denise. Okay. Next we have, I know Madison had to leave. He has a class, but I'm going to let Pam introduce our demo, but in just a minute. But I also wanted to mention, Madison had told us about the Matisse de Monet exhibit, and going as a group, we can do that and get a little bit of a discount. He is still working on details. He said they haven't called him back, and he's tried several times, but we do have a sign-up list. So if you're interested at all in doing this as a group, I'm not sure of a date yet, but just put your name down and we will contact you, and we'll be announcing it again, but just wanted to, we're gonna try to get that as soon as we can booked so we can try to get a group together. It'll be a little bit of a discount. I'm not sure if there's a size limit, so we'll have to kind of see that too. But go ahead and sign the list if you're interested in that. And now I'm gonna let Pam introduce Alisa.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce Alisa Beck. She is a Montgomery-based artist who focuses on capturing the beauty and the architectural features of the American South. She has shown nationally and internationally, and is also an arts educator. I was very fortunate to take her workshop on color theory and learned so much that I now try to teach to my students as well. So we're very pleased to have her with us today. Alisa?
It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for asking me. Madison said, hey, will you come? I said, absolutely. And we'll say, I always get a little nervous before these things. I think I mentioned that. I don't know why, because I teach a lot. I'm in front of people a lot, but for some reason it just makes me a little anxious. So I'm gonna talk a lot because I get over my anxiety that way. So I am a teacher out of Montgomery, and I've been, if I take this off, can you hear me okay? There's a terrible echo in this. Is that okay? Can you guys hear me back there? Okay, great. I speak a lot, so I'm okay to speak up. Maybe when I turn around, I'll turn that thing back on. So I am gonna demo oils today. Or do we have any oil painters in the room? Oh my gosh, look at all these oil painters. I don't know many oil painters anymore. I studied oils in college many years ago, fell in love with them, and I don't know, I bounce back and forth now between acrylics and watercolor and collage material and all kinds of other things, but I definitely am an oil lover. How many of you guys have ever used liquid impasto with your oils? Oh, we have a few. Okay, lovers of impasto. Okay, it's a little fumey. I might attempt it a little bit today in this space. It might be okay, but if anybody ever wants to try it, what it does is it speeds up the drying time of the oils, just like Liquin does. But Winsor Newton has 4 Liquin products, and I was lucky enough to be sponsored by them from 2017 to 2019. So I traveled around and talked about those products and became very familiar with them and utilized them a lot, and really fell in love with this one here because it gave me really bold gestural marks, and it holds the paint. It gives it texture, it improves the flow, it speeds up the drying time, it gives it a little bit of a sheen, not much of a sheen, but a little bit of a sheen, much like Liquin does, but it's also a little fumey. Is anybody in here sensitive to smells? Okay, so I do have cold wax that I brought with me in lieu of the impasto, but I may open it and just see what you guys think. But if you are going to use it, I just recommend you using it in a really well ventilated area. But it comes in a tube like this. It's about $25-ish, somewhere around there. And this will last you quite a long time. I'll show you how I build up with it. Do you guys think you're interested in learning about this? Okay, great. So I also, I paint on cigar boxes. So I brought a few cigar boxes back here, and what I do is I find cigar boxes, just make sure the hinges are working on them. I go through and I take any of the ugly stickers off, and I preserve any of the nice looking ones. But I love the wooden boxes, not the cardboard paper ones. Those are pretty too, but I love these. And
Can we pass that around, or do you
it-
not want us to touch it?
well, I'd prefer not
Okay.
to. If that's
Yes.
okay.
No, of
So
course.
they are meant to be touched after purchase, but they're meant to be loved and used. When I went through breast cancer in 2020, I received a lot of cards in the mail because everybody was stuck at home, and I just received a lot of love that way. And so I preserved all of my cards in one of my cigar boxes. And I thought, this is a great way to store little things that you love, that you want to tuck away, but maybe pull out another time. And so I started painting on the cigar boxes. I paint in them in oil, and I gesso them really well, sand them and gesso them, and then paint different scenes. I did a series of wooded scenes. I've been mostly focusing on deer a lot in the past year or so. And so I have some deer series up here and some mushrooms, and I would love for you guys to look at them. They're a lot of fun. But on the inside, I wrote a little, just like a little marketing tool that has my name and a little QR code and access to my Instagram, and then my Facebook link. And it says, sometimes you just need a unique space to store the special things. I am an Alabama native, and it is where my love of nature was fostered. I create evocative landscapes indicative of the Deep South based on my personal experiences and imagination. And this was created using oil paints on found cigar boxes.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, so just a nice little gift if anybody is ever looking for a gift. I do take special orders on those. I don't do a lot of them just because they are a little time consuming. As you know, small things take as long as big things to paint, but I do like spending time on them.
Do you gesso with clear or white or what?
I like to use Utrecht gesso, the professional grade. I used to use Liquitex and found that it was very inferior. And the Utrecht I order and I do the professional, and it is mighty fine. You only have to, if you use it very thick, you can actually create texture with it, and you only need to do one pass typically. It dries very quickly, and you can paint by that afternoon on the surface. So I buy it in a huge tub, and I just go through and gesso a bunch of boxes and my canvases also. But I love to have that extra protection and layer in there. But the boxes are meant to be touched over time. The more you touch it, the more it will wear down and show, and I thought that would be a unique aspect, just to show the love. I just love little boxes. They're picked up over time, but they're kind of tucked away on a shelf to look at from afar a lot of times, but then they can be handed down to other family members. So I just thought it was kind of a neat little gift idea.
Alisa,
Yes.
are the boxes already deodorized when you get them, or do you deodorize them?
I don't deodorize them. I actually really like the aroma that comes in a lot of them, and sometimes I get lucky enough to find some tobacco leaves that are stuffed in them, and so if I have enough, I usually stuff a little bit of that in the box to keep it that way. Yeah, I'm kind of sad when the aroma goes. Kind of open it, so, it smells nice. Although I'm not a cigar smoker, my dad was, so I know that aroma well. But anyway, I think what I'm going to do today, I am going to be teaching a workshop in Ghost Ranch, New Mexico in May. And if anybody is interested in that, I have some information. If anybody wants to get away for a few days with me, I have a few of my students that are going to be going as well. But I was in Utah a couple of years ago and just thought that this scene would be really nice to paint today because it has some really nice large shapes. And I want to talk about how I build a painting very abstractly with large shapes very quickly. So that's what I'll probably demonstrate today. Does that sound good, Tamara?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I do have to flip and I'm gonna grab this plastic. And I will say, and do a little plug here for Forstall. They gave me this wonderful apron last weekend when I was teaching there. And I've been fortunate enough to be teaching some classes at Forstall recently. And if you guys are interested, just check out their website or talk with Andy. Andy knows all the things there. All right, let me just put this plastic underneath here just because I don't want any accidents on this beautiful table. Yeah. I'll just put it right here. And no, I don't have one for under your campus, but let's put it on the carpet. On the carpet? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Just didn't want it to get on the carpet.
Okay. Oh, okay.
The table we're not worried about. It's the
Okay.
carpet.
What about?
I tell you what, I'll do this. Try this. You never know. You never know. Okay. So I'm gonna plug this back on.
I think you might be able to just lay it on the table.
On the table? Oh, pretty well. Okay, great. We'll see. Okay. All right, so you guys can hear me back there?
Yeah.
If I turn my head, you can hear me?
Yeah.
It actually is picking up pretty well.
Awesome, that thing is amazing. Okay, I'm just gonna adjust my easel real quick so that I can, turn my canvas around. I have had this little easel, gosh, going on 20-something years, and it has served me well. Okay, so what I'm gonna do first is I brought odorless mineral spirits, and I'm just gonna thin down some red oxide. That's what I typically use for doing my underpainting. I don't always use red oxide. I've started actually using Viridian Green, which I love because it has a really nice light. I think John Guernsey taught me that one. So I like to take a big brush and just thin down the paint a lot, and then I'm just gonna rub over the canvas. It's got a little texture to it, but I'll just use a Viva, and I'm just gonna do that really quickly. And unfortunately, I'm not a clean jar kind of girl. I don't know how many of you clean your jars out regularly, but mine gets contaminated with all kinds of gunk. And I've just decided that that's just who I am, and I'm okay with that. But I really envy those people that keep them clean. Okay, so just giving it a little bit of a light wash, and now I'm gonna wipe it down with a Viva paper towel. And I'm sure you guys have all talked about the Viva paper towel conundrum.
Which is, they're expensive.
They are expensive. They're expensive, but also they started manufacturing them differently, and they have a print on them now. So when you use them to texturize, they create a little pattern on your canvas, on your paint, and so it caused quite the frustration for a lot of us for a little while. And a friend of mine actually still had a couple of rolls left of the old stuff, and she said, she said, I'll let you have a couple of squares of my paper towels. So I said, thank you. And yes, and it was, so then when somebody would come to class and we would talk to them about the roll of Viva, we would say, well, we'll let you have 1 square of gold, and we would share it. So anyway, okay. Everybody's like, you know, I have a lot of beginner students, and they always say, well, how do I start a painting? And I just always say, just put something on there. Just do it. Just get it on there. But really, I am just over answering that question, you know, because I've done it so much, right? You've done it so much, and you think, well, you just do it. Like, you just put the paint on there. But really, if you slow down to think about it, there is a process to this that helps you feel more successful. So my process is just intuitive. But if I don't slow down long enough to think about that process, a lot of times I get a little skewed, and then I have to back up. You know, it's like playing Sudoku. You go a few steps and you guess wrong, and then you have to go back and undo it. So the first step is toning the canvas, right? It just adds another layer to the surface. The next step would be figuring out my shapes. Like, how many shapes do I have? Where is everything going to be? So I'm going to map out those shapes. The horizon line, that's the next step, you know, figuring out where that horizon line is. We get in such a hurry, and the first thing we do is what? We stick that horizon line right in the middle. And as I was looking at this photo, I noticed that the horizon line, gosh, it's almost right there in the middle. So I've got to think about that a little bit and adjust for it. If I don't, then later I get down the line and that horizon line's right there, and everything is based on that. So if I slow down a little bit, right? Age makes you slow down a lot. So if I slow down a little bit, I can decide where that horizon line is and really make some good decisions. So I'm going to slow down a little bit right here and just kind of map out where my shapes are so that I have a better understanding of that. So you guys tell me something funny. Like, how many times have you, oil painters especially, how many times have you painted something and scraped it down? Like, all the time, too many times. I have a good buddy that he will think it's going great, and you think it's going great, and you're like, oh, he's almost done. Wendell, he came with me last time, and he's almost done, and then all of a sudden you turn around and the whole thing is gone. What in the world happened? It's like, oh, I just didn't like it. How many times does that happen? How do you remedy that? You can start over. Yeah. So I always say, well, what I've learned now is that it's really about slowing down. And I know I will repeat that a lot, but it's because I have to repeat that to myself. Just slow down, just appreciate the process more. We get in such a hurry to get a painting done, but really for what benefit? Is it because we just want to see that we could finish it, or is it that we thought that we could complete it the way we envisioned it? So I'm more about the process these days and just seeing how far I can go to complete that process and refine it a little bit more so that I can understand it better. Okay, so I'm gonna draw this out. So I'm gonna move my horizon line. You know, I don't want it in the center. It's about here in my photo, but I'm gonna actually move it up a little bit more, even though my sky is very dramatic and it's kind of key to this photo. I still want to pull this horizon line up a little bit. There's something more dynamic about having a little bit higher horizon line. Do you guys find that true? Mm-hmm. Okay, so my horizon line isn't actually straight in the picture, but I'm just kind of anchoring my things here. So now I've got this smaller mountain over here. So I'm gonna draw it in. And I will say this too, I'm not a get it in there perfectly the first go around kind of person. I like to move things around a lot in the process because I feel like that creates a little bit more living, breathing type of painting. So I'm just giving myself some marks here. These could change at any point. They don't have to be anything I'm totally committed to. If I decide early on that this anchors me to the idea, then I will feel reluctant to make changes whenever I need to. We actually saw a tarantula. First time I ever saw a tarantula in nature on this little hike we did here. It was a very, very neat experience. Did not expect that at all. How many of you guys have been to Zion National Park? Yeah. Zion, is that how you say it? My southern voice, I want to say Zion. Okay, so there's a river that goes through here that you can't see in the photo. How many of you work from a photo that you don't know what's happening in it and you realize that it doesn't really speak to the place and space? That can be frustrating. So I'm just putting in large shapes, trying to take my time just a little bit because I want to make sure they're a little close to where they need to be. I love these abstract shapes though. My husband's standing here. I'm not going to paint him in. He would love for me to. He'd be like, oh cool, you painted me today.
What made you choose that color for marking it in?
The dark color, just so that you guys could see it. Normally I do a full underpainting in a really close to the transparent red oxide, which is this color plus a little bit of blue. I will usually do a full value range. Here I'll just do a really quick limited one. So I'm gonna block this in with just a little bit of value so you guys can see that. I used to use alizarin crimson. I don't know if that was something that was taught to me or I just liked the color. You know, alizarin's a very likable color until you start using it. And then it's like not. It just doesn't do the things you think it should do. And I've just found that I really, really like this one. It's Grumbacher's pre-tested transparent red oxide, my favorite all-time color. This is probably next to Williamsburg. Is it transparent red ochre? Or is it a transparent red oxide also? I can't remember, but I think this is the only one that's called transparent red iron oxide is what this one is. But this one I really like because it's the only one that I've found that gets really transparent. And you can really wipe down to this nice peachy orange color. But it also builds really nice and dark and heavy. Williamsburg is a little on the more opaque side and a little bit heavier. Gamblin has a transparent red ochre, I think. It's okay. I prefer Winsor Newton's transparent red ochre, but it never gets quite as dark as this one does. So
What brand is that?
this one is the pre-tested Grumbacher, and when you see it and find it, buy like 3 because it goes quickly. It must be other people's favorite too. Okay, so I'm gonna take just paint, no mineral spirits, and I'm just gonna blot this in a little bit darker here. I'm gonna hold on to this guy here so he doesn't flop around. So I'm basically just going in and saying, okay, I like where these shapes are, and I'm just going to put a little color there to tell myself, yes, this is where it's gonna be darkest. If I were in the studio, I would probably do this the first part of the morning, and I would let it dry down a little bit, tack up, and then I would come in that afternoon and I would start working. So I'm not gonna do a full block in right here, but for those of you that work in block ins, you can do a color block in, or you can do a monochromatic block in, and I'm just doing kind of a monochromatic block in right here. Now, I don't always work this way, but because the color is mostly orange, I'm gonna do that here. Okay, so just nice and soft, just trying to give myself an idea of the scenes. There are a few trees down in here. I'll build those up with a little bit of color in a moment, but I'll show you how I might soften those. The main thing I want to show you is how I would build in my shapes with the palette knife, and just really quick and abstract. So I'm going to mix this. I think I'm actually going to put in some white and blue first. So for my old painters that have been painting for a long time, do you ever do in your lights first? No. Okay, so I've learned a little trick that I really like to do now, and that is to go ahead and put in some of my light that's going to be built in next to my dark, just so that I don't have to worry about trying to intermingle those colors a little bit later. Because as you know, when you start to put that light in, you're going to build that light up anyway, but if you go ahead and put it in a little thinly, it just really, really helps. Especially if you know that you're going to be working mostly in darks today, and tomorrow you're probably going to build into your lights. That's going to be dried down if you use alkyds. Do all of you use alkyds? Liquid, Galca gel. Yeah, so your paint's going to be pretty much dry by tomorrow, right? So if you work thinly enough. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit, just with a little brush, I'm gonna take a little bit of white and blue. There's a nice cloud line right at the base of this. I'm gonna mix in a little bit of this impasto, just because it has galcid, just because it has an alkyd in it, and I just want to go ahead and map that in. So think of it as your color block in, right? You're just putting in a thin layer of that color. So right next to that dark that you're doing. And you don't want to do it thick. You just want to put in a little bit of color there. Okay, so I got that color in. Now I can start to block in a little bit of the mountain area. So I've got, this is where the critical thinking starts to come in, but also the thinking that can overtake you, right? That thinking too much that happens. You know, I've got this cloud line. You know, I could go in and block in some color, but with impasto, you're able to lay in really thick, opaque color pretty quickly. And there's a beauty to that you can really embrace. if you do a little thinking ahead, you know, that slowing down that I was talking about. So in this mountain line, on this side, you know, it goes back, from back there, it's building up some of those bluers and purples, and then it gets more, you know, darker and warmer as it starts to come closer to us. So I can make a couple of those transition colors and tap them in real quickly, right in here. And normally, you know, you're told to just block in these big shapes, right? But if you really if you say, you know what, this is a simple scene, really, there's a lot going on, but it's really a simple scene, and that there's some really big basic shapes, and I can tell a lot with just a little bit of information. So if I think about it for a moment and I build those shapes correctly, I can actually build this little mountain area right here pretty nicely, where I won't have to touch it again because it's the right value and the right colors. And then I don't want to build them thick, you know, too thick, but they are, you know, mountain structures. I may have to go in and add some other layers to it, so I don't want it to be too thick, but sometimes the way you apply it, that's what I always tell people. If you just apply it in a certain way, you may not know when you first put it on, but just leave it and then go bounce around and then come back to it, right? So I'm gonna do that really quickly. I'm gonna stop talking and work just for a moment. So I'm using a limited palette. I'm just using ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, titanium white, cadmium red, cadmium yellow light, and they're all Gamblin products. And I'm happy to report that the impasto is not overpowering. So I'm gonna use French ultramarine and a little cad red and a little bit of white to build up this mountain area, but my favorite color to add into this is the transparent red oxide because it neutralizes everything pretty quickly. So I see that I just need a little bit of red. Yeah, okay. A little bit more red. It's a lot redder than I thought. I thought it would be much more blue. Okay, so I think I've got it pretty close to where I want it. I'm gonna put a little bit of this impasto. I'm mixing with a palette knife, and I'm gonna apply with a palette knife. And actually, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and build up the second color that's coming forward, which is a little bit more purple. It's got a little bit more red than the first line of mountains. Ooh, I got too light. How many of you do that? Oh, it got too light. Oh, it got too dark. How many of you give up?
I'll just say, if you can do it quietly and you want to get up and come look at her palette or whatever, come up, look around. She's got a value gradient on the side of her palette that is pretty interesting, and you can see her colors.
Yeah, please do.
I'm trying to get it on video, so it'll be, you'll be able to see it.
I'm going to lay in this first line of mountains there, and then I'm picking up the next color. I'm going to lay in that second set of mountains, and I'm going to go ahead and lay in this guy right here. All right, so there is our first little left-hand side row of mountains. And then this part is really dark. It's in shadow, so I'm gonna make it darker as it comes forward. And a lot of times we don't think about this, but everything follows the prismatic spectrum. If you just look at your color wheel, if you have a color wheel, keep it handy next to you when you're painting, and that'll help you remember how to build these colors up.
What are you making it darker with?
I am just adding more red and more of the transparent red oxide. So just more of the dark. I'm really glad that paper caught that. And nobody up front saw that, right? All right, so dark there. And now I'm gonna move to my right side of the mountains, which they're getting a lot of light. So all this is darker and bluer. It's more in shade. This is all catching more light, but I've got to be wary of the dark that's in the shadows. So I probably want to build a little bit of that shadow area first because it's darker. So as you know, with oils, you want to go from dark to light or go from your mid-tones back and forth. So I'm going to probably build this little dark area right here. Now, if you understand what you're painting, you realize that this mountain is coming, you know, we're walking towards it, but this is all larger and more, is closer to us. You know, this is further away and more distant, so it becomes bluer and cooler. But as I know that this is going to be warmer, I need to darken this with some red so that it shows that warmth. So I'm just taking cad red and a little bit of red oxide and French ultramarine, and I'm making my dark color for the shadow area. And I'm gonna put in this little shadow right in here. And then there's some rocks that kind of go this way. So I'm gonna pull that there. All right, and while I've got this dark, I'm just gonna build a little bit of line, a little gesture line, just to kind of indicate where some of these leading lines go. Really bold and fast, right? Just slap it on there. Don't think about it. So I'm mixing the part of the river that is on the other side. We're above everything and we're looking down over the river, and so there's a shadow side of the tree line. So I'm mixing some red oxide and some French ultramarine and cad yellow light to make that dark green. What's your favorite green mixture? What do you guys like to use? Do you guys use this typical palette?
My favorite green is sap green.
Oh, I love sap green. It kind of gets away from me though.
You can.
I'm not very successful with it, so I've kind of abandoned that one. But it's a really nice transparent, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I am going to add just a touch of white in this, just because that is off in the distance. And I may have added a little bit too much, but that's okay. I'm going to add this, I'm adding little bits of impasto every time I grab some paint. It's just my method. Some people will build up puddles. They'll pre-mix puddles and add the impasto in as they build it. Nope, I built this on the wrong side. Okay, so this is my river. This is my river. And this is my darkest part. Hold on. That's gonna have to go lighter. So I scraped that down because I just realized I put it in the wrong place. Silly me. Okay, dark there.
What is your ratio of the impasto to the paint?
The impasto to the paint, I usually use about 30% of the impasto. And then if you want it to be more transparent, you just put more of it in. But the impasto, really, you don't want it to be transparent in the later layers. I mean, you can glaze with it, but it's better to go with like a glazing medium rather than the impasto itself, because you can glaze over it once it dries. You're welcome. Okay, so then I want to put in some green right here for the tree line, and I might put in some of that with a little bit of brushwork. So I'm building in some French ultramarine, cad yellow, light, just because I don't have cad yellow medium. And I'm adding a little bit of cad red because that will warm it up for me just enough to get the color where I need it to be. Looks like there is a little bit of light in here. I may need to add a little bit of white, but not quite yet. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna brush this in because I want a little bit of a thin layer, and then I may build up thick in a moment. So I kind of want this scrubby texture here. Now, some people, when you get to this point and these colors start to intermingle, they're like, oh no, what's happening? Let those colors do their thing. You know, just let them touch and let them go. So this tree line comes down the river here. Okay. All right. Pretty good. So it's like a color block-in stage, as you can see. Now I think I would like to build in some of this rock structure here. I need to step back and make a color assessment, like look and see how those colors are interacting and how my values are holding up. And I feel pretty good right now where it is. Now you may feel differently because you're back there, you can see it from afar. But I really kind of like this bold shape that's going there. I like the scrubbiness of the trees. So I'm feeling pretty good. What about you guys? Okay. All right, so I'm going to build in this lighter area here. Does anyone have any questions at this stage? Okay. All right, so here I'm going to start with white because it's a lighter color. You know, it's a pretty fairly light color. And I always tell people when you're mixing color, start with the color that it's closest to on the color wheel. So here it's not white, but if I start with an orange, it's going to be too dark. So I want to start with white and then add my colors into that. And typically you want to do the same thing with your skies. This one's a little dark, so I might start with a little bit more blue than I normally would. But if you want to make a light color, start with white. But if you're making other colors, try to stay away from white as long as you can. I know you hear that a lot, but just to try to make that part of your process. The impasto is not fuming? Okay, good. Yeah, so we're in a pretty good area space for it, I think. I'm pretty happy about that.
You said the impasto is the liquid impasto?
Yes, it's a liquid. It's made by Winsor Newton, and it's liquid impasto. And I'm happy to, you guys can look at it, pass it around, take a picture of it. Yeah, I will in a moment. In a moment. Okay, so I am mixing up a little bit of cad red and a little bit of cad yellow light with the white and the impasto. And I'm realizing that I have a very large space here that I need to cover. So I've got to get quite a bit of paint going. How many of you mix paint and then don't have enough color to go around? That's a problem, isn't it? Oh, it's such a problem. So I like to just mix a lot of paint. Now with the impasto, your paint is gonna dry, so if you don't use it all in the first pass, it's lost to you, right? So I know that that's a problem. So you really have to plan and prepare your painting day. You have to allow yourself time to build that painting structure up. And you should, if you spend enough time painting, you should know by now how much time your process takes. You know, some paintings provide you problems that take a little bit longer than others, but you know generally how long it's going to take you to build up this process. So if you're going to use the impasto, just make sure that you understand that timing aspect on there. So I have this wonderful little wedgie tool. I know if you have taken my classes or you've heard me talk, this is my favorite tool right now. You get it from Cold Wax Academy, and it is a wedge. They specially manufacture it for cold wax, and it's very flexible. It's just like a squeegee, like a shower squeegee, but it has a very flexible edge to it right here. And they sell different sizes. You can get it in this size, or I think maybe one even bigger than this. But I really like this tool because it's great for making lines, but I build up a lot of my shapes with this, and I've used it enough to where I can even almost draw with it. So this is my favorite tool. It also scrapes away paint. So if you want to, I'll show you how it does that. But I'm gonna build up this little area here with this tool. Coldwaxacademy.com, yep. Coldwaxacademy.com.
Alisa, excuse me, just a minute. We're gonna go on to our prizes.
Oh, fun.
You can still be
Okay.
voting, and we will call out some names.
Okay, I'm just gonna paint.
Has everyone signed in though? Come over here if you haven't.
Remember, there's a stack of great old art magazines over here that are free for the taking.
Rick, did y'all get that? Free art magazines, workshop magazines, old but good. And also, last time I brought those shells, I have some examples of some things I did with the shells. I was trying to do cyanotype. There's one that was moderately successful. Anyway, just let you know. All right, number 147, and that is Denise Hamilton. Come on up. Don't do it now. I won't get with this. The next one is number 6, Martha Fulgham.
This is not
Well, you're here.
The next one. Number 44, Sarah Barr. You here? Wait a minute, Sarah Barr. Okay, you're not here. Great. Number 1, Delightna Glade. Oh, God. Oh, she's sweet. I'm not sweet.
You get you
like that.
something, you deserve that.
Number, oh, these aren't duplicates. 47. Wait. I already did Denise Hamilton, right? 32. That's more in the middle of the road. Margaret Abella. Is that right, Margaret? Yes. Margaret. And just so you'll know, we have some paints, some Forstall gift cards, some pencils, acrylic sampler maybe. 3 in 1. It's for oil painting something. Don't say number 26, the Bev Bates. Lucky duck. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday. 21 is Linda Warner. Linda, come on up. Next we have 42, Jenny Dixon. Very nice.
Danny. All these people who have volunteered hours and hours.
Number 30 is Anita Rice. Is Anita still here? She is. Number 9 is Heather Davis. Heather. Heather Price. Is Heather still here? She might have had to leave. Okay. That's all the. That's all, folks. Back over to Alyssa.
Thank you.
Can you see now? Yeah, sorry, I am not good about maneuvering around all of the people, but hopefully you can see. If not, you might have to kind of move around me. One thing I want to make sure is I get a sure footing whenever I go to places, because my easel's a little rocky. So using the wedge, I can create some of these structural components in the painting. So I've just basically laid in some of this color, and I still have some areas to fill in, but I want to show you guys a couple of the things that this tool will do. Of course, you can do this with a palette knife, but this guy is made to just really be delicate. So if I have some areas that I want to knock back the texture so that I can get in there and paint other things around, then this thing will just glide across the surface and just easily knock that back. So it'll unify an area really quickly also. And at this stage, I don't want to kill the texture or the energy that I have in the painting, but what I may want to do is go in with a little bit more color or soften some areas. So just by taking this guy, I can, do that pretty quickly. If I make any mistakes or I want to get back down to the surface of the canvas, this guy really pulls away the paint and can really shape some things. I know there are other tools out there like color shapers and other silicone products which work almost just as well, but what I like about this is it really flexes so you can get, they should pay me to sell this thing, I'm telling you. I love this thing so much.
I remember you talking about it last year.
Yes, so anyway, so you can, but you can apply paint, pick up paint, reapply paint with it, and that's one of the things I really like about it. So if I want to carve back into an area, I can really do that to get, especially if you allow certain layers to dry and build on top of those layers, you can do that as well. So I don't want to mess around too much with my paint at this point, but I wanted to show you guys that. It's kind of a fun little tool. Okay. So here I have, so this is where we are with the picture, right? I'm a little too light in this area, but that's something we can build onto, right? You can build those shapes, especially if you have one of these that they're gonna pay me to sell later. You can, scrape back down into this and get that a nice thin layer. But you might want to be able to have some lighter layers to kind of reveal back into. Let's see, what else can I show you with this? I'm gonna take this color. So there's some really nice texture that's going on right here. I want to build this up. Oh, not like that. So this guy works a little differently than a palette knife. A palette knife, you're able to work with it at a 45-degree angle, whereas this guy, you have to kind of work with it almost at a 90-degree angle to pick up the paint, and then to apply it, you've got to lay it down almost, not parallel to the surface, but almost parallel. I thought I was going to go into the rocks, but I picked up this nice green, so I'm going to utilize it real quick. I want to put it across. That may be too green. That's okay. That's okay. I'm just going to build up a little bit of light area right here where this river bank goes across. So nice and thick. Right there. Okay. Not real excited about this parallel line, but if you keep your palette knife or your squeegee clean, you can just curve back into that area. So let's reshape that a little bit. That's a little better. Just want to soften that edge a little bit, make it look a little bit more natural. Okay, I did not ask on what the time was. I didn't want to hold anybody up.
11:26.
What time do you guys end?
At 12.
Oh gosh, you guys give me a lot of time. Well, I am gonna paint. I'm sure you guys want to, you can ask questions, you can visit with one another, I'm sure. Yes.
Why did you use the color of the base? Is it because of the colors in the picture? Or you normally use the same one in each painting? Like the one that taught me, we use red in all the painting.
Oh, yeah.
But
so my typical palette, I usually start with a limited palette and then I will expand from there.
Yeah.
But my typical palette for landscapes is usually the same. It's always French ultramarine, maybe cobalt blue. I don't usually use a lot of cobalt blue, but sometimes. Cadmium red or cadmium red light, mostly cadmium red. Cadmium yellow light or medium, depending on what I'm painting. And then the transparent red oxide is always my neutralizer. Now, if I'm painting something else and I want to create a different mood or have different light, my red may change, my yellow may change, or rarely my blue. I'm always going to use ultramarine blue just because it gives me a nice dark. And ultramarine blue is almost in everything. But and white, of course I use titanium white also. I have used the warm white, but it gets a little too muddy for me. I like playing with it, but I never can seem to get the values to stay where I need them to with the warm white. I know a lot of people are very successful with it, but that's a really great white to try also. And I use mostly Gamblin products because they're affordable. If I had my wish and my dream, I'd probably use, what is it called? It's a CHAVRIN, I think. Anyway, only because I went to Paris and went in the store and saw the paints. And so, you know, I thought one day I will use those paints. But, and I have a friend that uses them and they're luxurious, but they're just not cost effective for me. But normally when I'm teaching though, what I like to try to do is I teach people how to start from a double primary palette and then work down to a limited palette when they're figuring out what to use, because it's the only way to understand what colors are doing what. At this stage of my painting process, I'm more about the process, and if I see something that is working visually and exciting to me, I am more prone to leave that and work abstractly rather than try to make it push more towards something representational. Like right now, this value is a little too light for this area, but I really like the shape, and it may not work for later in the painting, but for now I want to leave it until I put in my sky and this. And like I said earlier, this is a little light here, but for right now I feel like it's a really strong abstract, and I can always work abstractly until the point of where I want to, want to see it go.
What blue are you going to use for the sky?
I will use French ultramarine on the sky because it's mostly French ultramarine. I don't see much cobalt in it. Normally, what I will do in my skies is I always start next to the object that I'm painting. You'll see a lot of people, and maybe you're doing this, I will encourage you to not, but a lot of people will start up here and work their way down to the object, right? And the reason you don't want to do that is because you start to there's a lot of temperature shifts that happen in the sky. A lot of us, when we're beginning painting, we tend to just paint a blue sky, but there's a lot of temperature shifts that go from here to here, and if you make those temperature shifts, it becomes, the depth range gets wider for you. And if you will do that, it becomes a little bit more, not necessarily believable or representational, but it just becomes something that you want to go into rather than just sitting on the surface of, right? You're not just standing in front of it, looking at it going, oh, that's a sky. You're actually looking at it and saying, oh gosh, I've been there, I've done that, I've seen that sky. You can experience it through the painting. But if you start up here, those little temperature transition shifts won't happen for you quite as easily unless you're just used to doing it a typical way. Like every sky I do, I'm gonna do blue down to here, but every scene is different, so try to pay attention to what that scene is doing. There might be a little bit of light pink down here, but the sky transitions through the visual spectrum, the color wheel. So if you'll go out and look at the sky later tonight, you can really see those color transitions. If it's a clear sky, it'll go from ultramarine to cobalt blue to cerulean blue to a little bit of yellow to a little bit of dusty pink, and when you learn that, it opens up a whole new world to you, to painting, and you don't get these flat skies. You get skies that you can dive into. And same thing with any shape, really. Just figuring out that those temperature shifts that happen. That's a good question. Yeah. Any other questions?
So last time you were here, you showed us the stenciling. Are you using that same technique on some of your cigar boxes with the deer?
No, not on my cigar boxes, but I actually just did some, I'm doing some collage work right now where I am stenciling, I'm making my own shapes, cutting my own stencils, and then I'm going into papers, mixed media papers, and spray painting, using acrylics, other mixed media materials, creating those, and then working in some shapes. It's really a great way to get more abstract, but I'm also trying to figure out how to tap into more of my intuitive self. As I'm getting older, I'm starting to go, hey, don't forget about her, bring her back, let's listen to what she has to say, and I'm trying to do more of that rather than painting the landscape or painting a deer. I'm trying to figure out how that connects to me and my experiences of the South, living in Alabama, growing up here, and what that means to me, and how can I relay that information through whatever medium I'm doing. And so collage is kind of helping me do that, discover that a little bit more, because I can make shapes and stencils of objects and replicate those shapes in different ways. So if you follow me on social media, I just posted a couple of pictures on there. One of them was called Butterfly Kisses, and it's just shapes. you guys are probably like this, but you pick up little beetles or bugs or, little things feathers. I collect any feather that's on the ground, leaf shapes, just anything to deal with nature. I've just always been really connected to my surroundings in that way. And so I'm using some of those shapes to reflect back into my work, and I'm really enjoying that process a lot. So the stencils came to me via R.C. Hagens, who is an artist out of Opelika, and he is a fantastic stencil cutter. He collaborated and paired up with the artist that came from Paris and did the mural in Montgomery. If you guys haven't seen the mural that the guys from Paris came and did last year, it's incredible. It's based on a 12th century Persian poem called The Conference of the Birds. And there were 8 of us that were selected to go to Paris and feature our work in Paris last April. And the opportunity came up really quick, really fast. And let me just tell you, you never know when it's going to happen. So put your work out there, because it just happened to be that somebody said, hey, will you put your work in this space? And I was a little reluctant. I'm really glad I did, because they chose me based on that work that I had exhibited. And I was able to go to Paris on it. So, you just never know what those opportunities will provide. So the stencil partnership, though, RC partnered with the guys from Paris, and they hand cut all these stencils and did a big building wall-size mural where they had brought all their stencils from Paris and rolled them out and spray painted and rolled paint for 7 straight days. It was amazing.
Where is it located?
It's located on Lee and Montgomery Street, right next to the Rosa Parks building.
Okay.
Yep. It's pretty neat. And if you guys want to look it up, it's on map360.org online. Yeah, it's a great story. The guys from Paris are just amazing. We got to see them when we went back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, since I talked about sky, I'm going to work into the sky for just a moment. You guys feel free to talk about yourselves or ask me a question. Oh, and I might borrow that impasto back. Oh, somebody did it here. Great. Thank you.
Do you use that squeegee with acrylics?
The squeegee with acrylics, yes. And I'll tell you what I love about acrylics. Acrylics, I just started using, I have a lot of things that I should with acrylics, but I started using the open acrylics. And now I started using the open medium. So you just apply the medium to any of your acrylics and they stay wet for up to 2 hours.
Wow.
Amazing, life-changing. Yeah, you can blend them, work with like oils. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm gonna use some white. You guys are really sweet to give me this time today. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Forstall has asked me to do a color theory class. If anybody's interested, I think we're lining that up sometime this summer. So I'm taking French ultramarine, blue, and white. That's all I've mixed up here. And I just want to hold it up next to my painting to see how that compares. It's pretty close, but it needs a little touch of red. Of course, I'm comparing to a photo, you know, not reality, but I do see that it needs to be a little darker. So I'm going to do that. I'm just adding a little bit of cad red medium to it. And I'm sorry if when I go to apply, if you can't see, just please move so you can, you know, get around to where you can see. So I'm making the darker part at the top, and then I'm gonna make some transition colors just from my general experience and knowledge of the sky. It doesn't mean that's what's gonna happen when I go to put it on here. I may make adjustments according to what I lay in next to the paint. So as I'm getting down closer to this area, I see that it's still got a little bit of red in it, but it's mostly ultramarine, white, and a little bit of cat red. I might add a little touch of the red oxide, just to kind of dust it up a little. Okay, small tiny shapes in there. So I'm gonna get my wedgie tool that I love so much. And I'm gonna build in my shapes right there. So it's gonna take a lot of small shapes. It's a little dark, so I'm gonna add a little bit of light to that bottom area. Okay. I'm sorry for those of you behind me. Another thing I like about this wedge tool is if you put a little bit of pressure in, you get a little bit of transparency. If you lift a little bit, you get a little bit more opacity from it. So it just depends. So I'm going to start to shift a little bit darker as I go up. Do you guys see why I love this tool?
Mm-hmm. So are you holding the other end up so it doesn't get into the other paint?
Yeah, so it has a really flexible edge, and also the way I load the squeegee, same way that I will load a palette knife. I'll show you this one. So when you're using a palette knife or something that you want to use the edge of, if you will load the shape area that you want to use. So in other words, if I only want to use an area like this, that's the amount of paint that I'm going to be able to spread. But if I want to get a big area, then what I like to do is I like to stretch out the paint. So I'll pull it all out so that there's an even bead, and then I will collect that paint onto the palette knife, and then I can apply it, and it spreads more evenly. So it's a matter of gauging that space in that area, and of course you have to have a large palette to do that with. So at home I have a very large glass palette. Here I brought a smaller one with me, but definitely having space to work is very beneficial. Okay, so I'm going to mix a little bit more blue and just fill in that sky area.
What type of palette knife is that you're using, that big one?
The big one is a Liquitex Freestyle. When Winsor Newton sponsored me, they had other brands through the company that they liked me using, so I came to love the Liquitex Freestyle palette knife. That's what I use mostly, is all of theirs, and this I've had this one for years. The steel part is set into the ferrule really well so they don't snap or break, and if you work these enough into a C shape, you can really get a nice flexibility to it. You just have to work with them quite a bit because they're a little stiff in the beginning, but you have these double edges on them, but you also have the roundness, so you can utilize a smaller portion or use the longer part of the blade. I always recommend these with a hook also, because if you have those that are straight, like a spatula, you can't get your hands around them and you wind up digging your fingers into the surface or the back end of the blade or the part of the knife there. So I like to use, I like to have the ones with the curve so you can get your hands really around
And
it.
that other large one, the larger one?
Yeah, the
is
larger
same?
one is a freestyle also. It's Liquitex. At Alabama Art Supply, they have a whole rack of all the sizes and shapes from big to little. And when I first started working with palette knives, I had every shape and size, and these are the two that survived, that are still with me. I just, and this guy, these are my friends right now, so Larry, Bob, and Joe.
That one makes me want a piece of chocolate pie.
Oh, man, I know. Yeah, okay, so a little bit darker. Now, some of the underpainting is also making this a little orangier, so it's not quite getting the full blue that could come through. Now, I didn't build up any of my whites of the clouds in this, but mainly just because I'm trying to work through this quickly and show you guys how you can get this beautiful,
So satisfying.
even coverage really quickly, you know. Yeah, it's just wonderful. So you just don't want to overwork it. It's just like doing brush work. You know, you just want to make sure that you're not picking at the paint, overworking the paint too much. And now I can go in and start to shape out my clouds if I wanted to. So, you know, like here, I've got a very large cloud area. So I can bring that bad boy back with this guy and bring in some of those lights. And then tomorrow, when this is dry, I can go in and paint in those lights. So it's a lot of this is planning and thinking, you know, especially when you're working with a larger canvas. A lot of us don't have quite that many hours or momentum to really complete an oil painting in one day. I don't know, does anybody in here complete an oil painting in one day? I may have misspoke. But so now you can see how you can get some of your lights and darks back in there. And then this is probably where I would use my Viva, even though it's got a little bit of a pattern. I don't know, this one may be one of the magic rolls, I'm not sure. Has anybody written Viva, by the way? We've talked about it a lot, but we haven't done it yet. But just giving a little texturizing, but also softening. The impasto really makes things stick to the canvas and really sturdy up, so you're pretty safe to go in, you know, with some texturizing on this guy.
This we got 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop here just in case anybody has a question. I wanted to remind everybody that I do have information if anybody's interested in Santa Fe. It's, I will say it's about a $3,000 trip with flight, class, meals included. It's a 5-day course. And I really, really appreciate you guys letting me talk so much today.
Will you post this on your Instagram account?
Yes, I sure will. Thank you. Absolutely.